Hi, you've reached Owen Howe again. I'm here for another video. As counselors, one of the most common questions I get is regarding community colleges or junior colleges. I just call them JCs, and whether they're a good idea and who should consider going to a junior college. So here we go. So just a quick overview on what the JCs are. They are two-year colleges and they offer associate degrees. They also offer a occupational skills certificate program. So that's kind of like what you'll find programs that you normally find at trade schools at Pasadena City College. You'll find programs such as like fire technology, automotive technology, industrial design, culinary arts. Just to name a few, I think there are about 20 programs at Pasadena City. However, at each community college offers slightly different mix of certificate programs. So as I recall, Glendale used to offer a airplane mechanic program, and I believe only a handful of community colleges in LA County actually offer such a program. So if your student is interested in getting a skills certificate, definitely check out different JCs because each one will offer something different. They also offer a path to transfer to four-year colleges. And so I would say, I work at a college prep high school, so a majority of our students who originally decide to attend the junior college are planning to transfer to a four-year college. And typically that happens at the end of their sophomore year. So after 2 years at the community college, they they would transfer to a four-year college. So you don't need the associate degree is not required to transfer. However, some students do want to just get the associate's degree in case they don't decide they don't want to transfer, or they transfer and that doesn't work out at the four-year college. Most important thing is cost. The community college costs significantly less than even the Cal States, and it's going to be the least expensive higher education you're going to find. They are open enrollment, so any student who can apply and attend the community college, which is a good thing and a bad thing, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Typically, no student housing is available. Most students will be living at home with their parents, or they'll be renting an apartment relatively close by. However, if the community college is in a rural area, you'll find that many rural community colleges do have dorms, but then that also means you have to live in the rural area too. Highly competitive athletic program. Many community colleges have very strong athletic teams. So don't just because the school has an open enrollment doesn't mean that the athletic program isn't good. The Pasadena City College soccer team is good enough to beat a lot of Division I soccer teams here. So don't discount. It is a highly competitive environment. So who are the JCs for? Divided into four groups. I think one is students who want to pursue a certificate. They're really interested in higher education. They don't see themselves going to college for 4 more years of school. So for them, it's let's get a certificate, get themselves enrolled in a entry-level steady job, blue-collar work that pays good money. You get some students who want to transfer to a more selective college than they got into as a high school senior. So this, typical for students who perhaps they want to go to UCLA, they didn't get in, or they want to go to USC, they didn't get in as a senior in high school. So they're going to work their butts off at the community college and apply to transfer again after 2 years. Third one, students who can afford it. So it's a cost reason. So many of these students might be B minus students who got into the first choice school, but didn't get the financial aid or scholarship package that they were envisioning. So, if the money doesn't work, there's no way around it. That's how some of those students end up at JC. And then the last one mentioned in the last slide is student athletes. perhaps who weren't recruited. Perhaps it might be through injury. Perhaps it might be through other circumstances, but they feel they are worth a Division I or Division II scholarship, but just wasn't seen or wasn't recognized by the college coaches. So this would be a second chance to get recognized by Division I, Division II coaches. So something you need to know about the JCs. So it's a fact. It is easier to get admitted to a UC or CSU and certain private colleges when applying from a California junior college. The state of California actually mandates the UCs and CSU to accept a quota of students from the JCs in California. The rationale behind it is it costs the state of California less money to educate students from the community colleges, and so they want to encourage students to start off at a JC before transfer. For those, let's say you're interested in USC or UCLA, from applying from high school, you probably need a 4+ GPA in order to get into USC and UCLA. However, you'll probably need about a 3.6 GPA would get you into a UCLA or a USC. So it's not easy, but it is more realistic for a lot more students. Faculty at the JCs, they are a teaching faculty, so which works well for students because they are good teachers. Usually, at JC, they don't do much research, if at all. So if you don't teach, if you're not a good teacher, you won't get hired by the JCs. And then, so I mentioned one and two slides before, the occupation certificate programs are inexpensive, especially compared to other trade schools. So some of the challenges, I think you need to think about that too. I think the number one thing is really resources. The community colleges are funded a little differently than public high schools. Public high schools have something called ADA, so average daily attendance. So public high schools get paid by the state based on how many students attend their school. The community college level, it doesn't work that way. They get a set budget every year, and they have to make it work no matter how many or how few students they get. So they get a fixed budget. And so some years they might have a healthy budget for the number of students they're in at their school. Some other years they might have 10,000 people more students than the year before. And that would create a lot of struggle. Because remember, the community colleges are open colleges, so anyone could attend. They can't control, unlike a selective college where they could control how many students they have enrolling at one given time. At a community college, it doesn't happen that way. Anyone and everyone can attend, and so resources can be stretched quite thin in certain years. Because every student is going there for a different reason, academic advising can be very challenging. The academic advisor has to be able to advise students who are on a occupational track. They are advising students who are just taking a couple classes here and there. They are working with students who are planning to transfer to the Cal State system. They're working with students who are transferring to the UC system. And they don't always remember everything, to be honest. It is a very tough job advising students at the community college. And finding help can be quite challenging also. I went by the Pasadena City College a number of years ago, and there's a line at 7 o'clock in the morning, just kids waiting on the floor, waiting for their getting in line to meet their academic advisors. It's not easy. Remember, resources are low, and academic advising, they have to be the jack of all trades. Because the costs are low, there's an incentive for students, especially students of higher priority, to register for classes to hoard them. It is not uncommon for students to sign up for 21, 22 units knowing that they're going to drop a couple of classes by the first midterm. And it sucks for those students who didn't get the class, because usually 4 weeks into the class, you don't necessarily, not many students are ready to register a class 3-4 weeks late. I think a typical site at first week of school at the JC is overflowing parking lots. You can't find parking. People are parking at places where they shouldn't be parking. Parking police is handing out lots of tickets. By the first midterm, the parking garage is probably about 2/3 full or even half full. So, just a lot fewer students end up there. You'll find a lot fewer students at the end of the semester than the beginning of the semester. UCs and Cal States typically don't accept mid-year transfers. So if you are one class short, you couldn't transfer. You have to wait until the following year to transfer because you're one class short. And so that's typically the number one reason why students are staying at a JC for 2 years versus staying there for 3 years versus 2 years. Also important is four-year colleges typically offer worse financial aid packages to junior transfers. Because they know one of the reasons students start off at a junior college is because they want to save money. So why are they giving them better packages than those freshmen who have to pay tuition for 4 years? So they are going to save the best financial aid packages for students who start off as a freshman. So you might not get as big of a savings than you think by attending a JC. And as I said, highly competitive athletics. So it also means that there's a chance that you might not make the team for those athletes, or there's a chance where you make the team and you're third string. Then what happens? Do you really want to go to a JC and be third string, or would you rather go to a Division III or an NAIA school and be first string? That's something to think about. And kind of a summary. For me, the JCs is not an easy road. It is, it's harder. It's a longer road. It's a harder road. Students who start off at a JC will earn a bachelor's degree at a lower rate than those who start off at a four-year college, even adjusted based on GPA. And I did this study a number of years ago, and I plan to do this study again soon. And it's just not just a lower rate, it's also increase in time. Majority of students who start off at JC, if they earn a bachelor's degree, it's going to be minimum of 5 years. 4 years is uncommon. 5 years is much more typical. 5.5, 6 years is quite typical too. You need to know your goal early. It is a very easy place to get stuck if you don't know what you want. The students who get out at the JCs quickly are the ones who know they want to transfer to USC. They want to transfer to UCLA. They work their butt. They work hard at it. They ask the right questions, and they get out as quickly as they can. That's the goal. However, if you don't know what you want, it's impossible to ask the right question if you don't know what you want. They're not going to ask you what you want. You have to ask them you have to ask them the appropriate questions based on what you want. And supporting yourself and putting yourself through school at the same time, it is not easy. Many students who at a JC, especially after a couple of years, the parents cut them off. So they have to get a full-time job. They have to pay rent. They have to pay for their own car, and have to go to school full-time. It is not easy. For me, my view, JC is a fallback. I would not put the JC as the number one choice, because you could apply to the JC anytime. You don't need to apply in the fall to, in the fall of your senior year. You could wait until sometime in May to apply. Sorry. Sorry about that. I look at it as a fallback. In case you don't get a good financial aid package, then go to a JC as the backup source. But I know some students see the JC as a second chance. Where they could get in, they could reapply, work hard, reapply to a more selective school. However, one can do that same thing from a four-year college. There's no, there is no, nothing said in writing. You have to go to a JC. You have to transfer from a JC. Many students transfer from one four-year college to another four-year college. That's okay too. I could definitely understand that parents don't want to throw good money after bad, especially if you have a C student, B minus C student. They're not getting into the most selective schools, even though the outcome is slightly better. But I also understand it is more expensive, and I'm not the one paying for it. And then the last but not least, you want to make sure the student knows that they're a Division I level student athlete. You're looking at D1 schools. If you believe that you're not a D1 student athlete, then I would not even recommend playing a sport at a community college. It doesn't make sense riding the bench. Might as well go somewhere else where you could get playing time and become a bigger fish in a smaller pond. So that's all I got. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. And I will see you at a different video. Thank you.